My first initial thought, because with the first Joker movie, we're talking spoilers for the first Joker movie. With the first Joker movie, what we end up learning is that Arthur is an aspiring stand-up comedian, and that's pretty much like the one way he can kind of like that's the one way that he can express himself, where he can like let go of his mental illness, let go of his depression, and actually express himself in an artistic form. And now I'm seeing this trailer, and what it made me think of, I was like, okay, so if Arthur expresses himself in comedy, then maybe Harley is similar scenario and she decides to express herself through music. That seems what this trailer maybe could be hinting at. Not only could that be the case, but also could be that there is a thing in real life called like musical therapy, and I don't know if they actually do music therapy in mental institutions, but if they do, it could also potentially be that they're introducing it to Arthur as a form of therapy, and maybe he feels inspired by it, maybe. And then maybe he meets Harley, who has an aspiration for music, and maybe the two of them team up together or something. I don't know. That's kind of like ideas or theories I'm getting based off of what I've just seen in this trailer. And the whole thing about how like music is there to like really get the most out of us, or whatever it was that he was saying. I did kind of feel like with the first Joker movie, Arthur, even though he did his comedy, he had a hard time expressing himself through the comedy because he often like couldn't get through saying the joke without cracking up, or he had a hard time actually expressing himself because he's not a very well-spoken person. So maybe he's now looking to music to actually like express himself in the way he would have wanted to. So for example, if he's a songwriter, he has like all the free space and all the free time away from people to truly write out his feelings in song form. And then he could also like actually team up with someone who might actually be musically gifted, potentially Harley Quinn. Again, these are all just theories, to maybe actually like bring him and herself together to actually express themselves in the most authentic way possible. Those are kind of like ideas I have about what the movie could potentially be based off what I've seen in this trailer and based off just things we've heard over the last few years. There are some shots in that trailer though that genuinely make me feel like a lot of this is going to be in their head. Like a lot of for example, like we saw them dancing on top of a building. We saw them dancing in the rain. So it makes me genuinely feel like a good chunk of this movie, I feel like a good chunk of the musical numbers are all going to be in their head. That's what it seems like it's maybe hinting at to me. I mean, with the first Joker movie, we ended up learning that, the big plot twist of that movie, or one of them, was that the relationship that he had going on with Zazie Beetz' character, I forget her character's name, it was fake. It was all in his head, and it was just like, what? It seemed like so real, but then like at the end of the day, when I watched it again, I was like, no, yeah, that was completely in his head. There's no way she would go out with this creepy guy. What the that would never happen. I'm looking at this and I'm seeing stuff, I'm like, okay, how much of this is actually realistic and how much of this stuff is in their head, and from some other interesting stuff, like there was that shot of him running on the street. It seems like there's now maybe Joker copycats, which I think is interesting, because something that was interesting about The Dark Knight was that The Dark Knight, now that Batman's been this vigilante hero who's no longer vigilante, we now have Batman copycat vigilantes who, some of them might be well-intentioned, some of them might be criminals pretending to be Batman. At the end of the day, they're people who, they're not safe. They're not safe out in the street doing vigilanteism, so they shouldn't be doing that. And I feel like we're kind of going to see that topic tackled, but with the opposite side maybe in this movie. So I feel like from watching this, it almost feels like maybe Todd Phillips is deciding to be like, we saw how society kind of shaped the Joker into who he was. So let's see if now that the Joker's this big figure, let's see if maybe he can now shape society into what he thinks a human being should be, or let's see if he can have this huge, incredible impact on so many people in society that essentially creates mini Jokers. All interesting themes. I feel like these are all just theories. Again, this is all just stuff I'm getting based off what I've seen. But if I'm correct about any of these theories, these are all really interesting ideas for this upcoming movie. And if that's the case, though, where they're actually going to be let's see if we can make a film where it's let's see if the Joker can create a bunch of mini Jokers in his society and have that impact and all that. It almost feels like Todd Phillips is giving the middle finger to all the people who had concerns that the Joker movie was going to inspire a bunch of copycat people to be like the Joker, or that people who might be in Arthur's position where they might be lonely and mentally ill and not getting help or not getting as much help as they can be, that it might inspire them to do something bad, or it might make them think that it's okay for them to have these kinds of thoughts or whatever about hurting people, which are, to be honest, even though it's just a film, those are valid concerns to have, because they say, art does imitate life, and I think it could be said backwards. I think life could imitate art, I mean, and to be honest, if someone does try to imitate the Joker movie, that's not the people's fault. it's that person's fault for, being stupid and doing that. However, as valid as those concerns are, there's probably not as much weight to it as people would like to think there is, but there could be. I feel like maybe this film that's coming up could be like Todd Phillips being like, yeah, I hear your concerns, and you know what? Like, instead of just like making y'all think I don't care, let me show you why it actually, like, let me show you why that's a real concern. Let me show you where I actually do care, and let me show you where I, as the filmmaker who made this concerning film that y'all were so concerned about, let me show you my take on that and why you might be right or why you might be wrong. I mean, a lot to go off of, to be honest. I mean, I'm even more baffled than I was before, but I feel like I actually have like theories in my head about what could potentially happen in this upcoming film. I don't know. I mean, I think this could potentially be an interesting movie based off these theories I have. So my next point is that, to be completely honest, like when they announced that they were making a Joker sequel, I thought the studios, as well as Todd Phillips, lost their mind. Honest to God. Because the first Joker I thought was a very good movie. I liked it quite a bit. However, because it's a very serious film about very serious topics like mental illness and about how society could influence someone to go down a dark path, and depression and murder and all these other like very taboo topics. It's a very almost very taboo film in a way. It's a film that addresses these topics with such seriousness that, to be honest, making a sequel to a film like that almost felt very like non-intuitive, or felt very counterintuitive to its point. Because I mean, there were so many people who went and saw the Joker movie like several times in theaters, and it was a great movie, don't get me wrong. And if you went and saw it like multiple times in theaters, I'm not judging you at all, but I genuinely wonder how many of the people who went and saw that film in theaters actually like went and saw it multiple times. I genuinely wonder how many of them actually like understood the point of the film, because like there were some people, like I didn't see the film when it came out in theaters because like it was an R-rated film. I was 15 when it came out, so I was too young to go see it. None of my parents did not want to see it. I will see part 2 in theaters because I'm 20 now and I can, so that's cool. But, I didn't see part 1 in theaters, and from the stuff that I had been hearing, because I didn't catch it till streaming, like there were some people I knew who were like, it was really good, but it was dark, and it was like, very taboo, depressing topics. Like, okay, yeah, obviously, sure. But I knew some people who went and saw it like multiple times in theaters, like, oh, like it was so good. Like they were talking about it almost like it was Avengers Endgame or whatever. And not that it's not a great movie, it is, but it almost kind of felt like people were going and watching it for the entertainment value almost, because I knew people who like they thought it was really good and they expressed that they liked it, but they didn't really talk much about the actual like the actual like depth of it, or they didn't talk about the fact that it's a very heavy film or anything like that. So the people I know who went and saw it multiple times, I do genuinely like wonder how many of them went and saw it multiple times because they actually understood the point of it and wanted to see if they could maybe pick out more points of it the second time around, which could be the reason. And I also wonder how many of them completely just missed the point of the film, thought it was just this entertaining Joker movie to watch a guy go mad, and then was like, all right, I want to go watch him go mad again. Like, it makes you wonder, because like for me personally, like I've seen the Joker movie maybe like 3 or 4 times. I have to be in the right mood to watch that film, because it's a very good movie, but it is definitely heavy. It's not an easygoing film. Like for me, like I have to be in the right mood to watch it, and like other people might be different, and that's cool. But again, it's like, because like I did not walk away from that Joker movie going like, oh, like that was so good. I can't wait to see that again. I was like, damn, man, like what a well-made film, but like what a really effed up horrible event that film really was. Like, oh, like, because it deals with such dark topics and all that. And we need those kinds of movies, but I don't know if I would want to watch a movie like that like, many times in a row, or if I would want to go see them multiple times in theaters. So I don't know. And because The Joker became like the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time, it does genuinely kind of like make me wonder if this is just going to be like a cash grab film, because it's like because it was the highest grossing R-rated film of all time. But not just that, Joker was actually the first R-rated film to gross over $1 billion. And so, like, massive success, highest grossing R-rated comic book movie of all time, highest grossing R-rated film of all time, outdid Deadpool, outdid Logan, outdid, like, Passion of the Christ, and outdid Matrix and all that stuff. So, we'll see if Joker 2 actually, like, passes $1 billion. It may not. I don't know. It also kind of just makes me wonder, like, is Todd Phillips making this because the first one did so well? Because I'm looking at this film and it feels like making a sequel feels almost like uneven to me. And the reason I feel like it could be a little bit uneven is because, like I said, the first movie, great movie, but definitely has a lot of dark topics. And it feels like the whole point of that first movie was to really send a message out there of like, hey, be careful what we're going to do in society in regards to just treating people and treat people with respect. And we need to care a lot about people with mental illness, because, if they don't get the help they need, or if we constantly reinforce things upon them that are harmful, they could maybe go down a dark path similar to that of the Joker, so it's like, very much feels like a PSA of that statement. And it's important that we talk about those things. Those are real world issues that we need to talk about. And I don't think making a film about that's a bad thing at all. However, when we decide to make a sequel to a film like that, it's the thing where it's like, hold on, like, to me personally, I thought the point was made in the first film, so I was like, why are we making another film about this, you know, like, or like, if we're making another film about this, why is it a sequel to this first one? Does that make any sense? Like, maybe people are gonna be like, no, like, what do you mean, like, there's more to explore than what the Joker movie did. And it's like, yeah, sure, like, obviously, the Joker movie is not, the Joker movie is just the tip of the iceberg. When it comes to this conversation, we obviously got like more to go through in regards to just like general awareness of it and in regards to how it's portrayed in entertainment. Obviously, right? But I don't know that a Joker sequel is like the way to do that, to be completely honest. Like, I don't know, because like to me personally, because I felt like I got the point of the Joker, but I feel like a lot of other people, not everyone, of course, but I feel like a good chunk of people really did not get the point of that movie. I feel like they really sound like, oh, this is this entertaining film about how a guy goes mad. And they didn't really see it for, like, the depth it actually is. They didn't see it for the character study it was, or didn't see it for the deep themes. Like, whenever I saw this movie, I could sit down and talk with people for, like, an hour or 2 hours about it. Like, I'm talking about it for, like, 20 minutes right now. You know, so it's a very deep film, but I feel like a lot of people, at least that I knew, didn't have these, like, deep thoughts about it. They kind of were just, like, entertained by it. And I feel like that's I feel like a decent chunk of Joker's audience are people who understand the film and want to talk about it in depth to address these issues. And the other are, like, people who are fans of the character, who went and saw the film because it's a Joker film, was entertained seeing the Joker do all sorts of criminal stuff, but didn't actually pay any attention to the social issues addressed in it. And it was like, yeah, it's this entertaining movie about the Joker going back crap crazy, terrorizing Gotham. It's just like, hold on now, like, was that really all you got out of it? Like, that's kind of like the reaction I had. And so when we make a film like this, it makes me wonder which audience is it actually, like, marketing itself towards. Is it going to market itself towards the people like me who thought very in-depth on the first Joker film? Or is it going to, you know, is it maybe gonna like appeal to the wrong crowd of people who are just like, oh, it's an entertaining movie about the Joker going back crap crazy, so you know what, like that crowd seemed to really like it, so you know, let's make a film about the Joker and Harley Quinn going mad doing a crazy musical, and you know, and maybe it'll appeal to the same crowd, and you know, I feel like that's the big concern I have with this film. I'm really concerned that it's just gonna be this cash grab film that they're making because the first one did so well. I'm worried that it's going to completely ignore the entire point of the first movie by just going balls to the wall with the music, or going balls to the wall making it a musical, because musicals are supposed to be like entertaining. I'm also worried that like with them doing this, they're appealing to the crowd who did not pay attention to the deep themes socially about this film, and that they're really just paying attention to like, oh, it's fun to watch a guy go crazy. Like, I'm kind of worried that's what this film's going to be. And, like, I might be reaching out a little bit, and it might be like, oh, Nick, like, that's a stupid thing to say because, like, the guy who wrote the first movie, like, he did such a good job going about those topics, so, like, why would he do something dumb, like, not address those topics in the second movie or not go deeper into it? And I think the reason why he might not do that, I'm not saying Todd Phillips won't do that, but the reason why he may not do that is because of what I just said earlier. He might be appealing to the wrong crowd, or it might just be like, well, the first one did so well, so we got to make a second one, or something like that. Now, I could be wrong. These concerns I have about how the film might be nothing more than a cash grab, or it might be like, you know, it might appeal to the wrong crowd, or it might not get a message across that the first one did, or it might completely ignore the point of the first one or miss the mark. Maybe I'm wrong. It could really surprise me. I mean, there's films out there that I was not expecting to be, like, that great that turned out to be really good. You know, I'm not going to go too deep into it, but, you know, it does happen. And another reason to be excited about it is that the team who created the first movie is created in the second one. They're very talented people, so we're obviously going to see, I think we're going to see some great performances. We're going to see some beautiful cinematography. Like, I thought that trailer was beautifully shot. And if the music is good, and I'm hoping the music will be good, I do feel like maybe good music and good singing combined with beautiful cinematography could actually make for a pretty entertaining musical, you know? Like, those are reasons why it could be good. Those are reasons why I could be looking forward to it. Not to mention, like, I talk about musicals like they're this fun thing, and they are fun. I mean, my parents both do musicals. Like, they're music people. But there are also musicals that do have deep themes. Like, great example is Sweeney Todd. I mean, Sweeney Todd is actually Sweeney Todd's similar to that of Joker. If you've ever seen Sweeney Todd, I'm not talking about the Tim Burton one. That one's not that good in my opinion. But if you have, it's okay. No, but the Sweeney Todd like stage play, the story structure is actually very similar to that of Joker. It's this guy who's very tragic, who loses his mind and goes killing a bunch of people. And they made a phenomenal musical out of it with Sweeney Todd. And so they could make a phenomenal musical out of that with Joker, although the origin story has already been done. So my question is, okay, so if let's say, for example, this movie is just very well produced in regards to its musicality. Like, let's say the music's great, the singing's great, the acting is great, and like the visual of it's great. Let's say all of that's great. I'm gonna be happy about that, but what's the actual like story behind all of it, you know? Because like the origin story's already been done, so I feel like if they're gonna do a Sweeney Todd thing, I feel like they've already kind of butchered their chances at doing that. So maybe maybe they could actually like do that kind of thing for Harley Quinn because she's a new character. Maybe, I don't know. So there's all sorts of possibilities, but I do genuinely wonder. It's like, it could be, I feel like the movie might be a really well-produced musical, but I don't know what the story is going to be like, and I'm kind of like, that's where I'm really concerned. I'm really concerned, what is the story narrative and message of this film going to be? Like, I feel like, in a way, this might be like the reverse La La Land, because this might be an unpopular opinion, but for me personally, La La Land was just okay. Like, I thought the story of La La Land was good. I thought the acting was pretty good. I liked the visuals. The musical itself, music was okay. And that's kind of the thing. I thought La La Land was okay as a romantic comedy, but as a musical, I was like, it's fine. And so I'm kind of wondering if, I'm a little bit concerned, but again, I could be wrong, that Joker 2 is going to be the reverse La La Land, where it's going to be like, the music was good, the story was I mean, we'll see. I mean, I don't actually know this for sure, but I'm trying to think if I have any other thoughts. Like, those are all like organic thoughts that were just streaming out of my head as I was saying those, and I've talked for like 20 minutes now. Those are all kind of like my thoughts about like this movie's potential. Like, I think, like, to sum up, it could be really good because it seems like they have a very talented production team and they have talented actors, and the music could be really good. They have a talented singer in the lead cast, so there's that to look forward to. But reasons to be concerned is, are they going to miss the mark? Are they going to completely ignore the point of the first movie in the second movie? And what's the point of it, And like the trailer, I feel like the trailer like increased some of my, okay, this might be really good, but I feel like it also increased a little bit of the, ooh, maybe this won't be so great at the exact same time. It's weird, but yeah, I think that's like about it in regards to my organic thoughts. And some other kind of like stuff I'm just go over very briefly is that, as I'm sure many of you know, Joker is inspired by that of Martin Scorsese films, most notably The King of Comedy and Taxi Driver. Two fantastic movies. Taxi Driver is one of my favorite films of all time, my favorite Martin Scorsese movie even. And I don't want to go into the whole compare game and all that, but I do think that these two movies are better than Joker, to be completely honest, especially Taxi Driver. And I did feel like with the first Joker movie, I was like, it's a very good movie, but its homage to these two films, it's pretty obvious, And like, that doesn't necessarily mean that the film's bad. It also neither does it mean that the film feels like a ripoff, that it doesn't feel like its own thing. It's just that, like, the homage is very obvious, and it follows like the blueprint of those two films pretty much to a T. So Joker's still a fantastic film, but I did wish it was a little bit more original in regards to how its story and character was structured. But it did still feel like its own thing, so I will give it that. It's like, I could never imagine making a sequel to Taxi Driver or to The King of Comedy, and those two movies actually have like ambiguous endings. So you could have made a sequel to Taxi Driver, because Taxi Driver had an ambiguous ending for a long time, until they actually like revealed what it meant, and when they revealed what it meant, it made no sense to make a sequel. So thank God they never made a sequel, because Taxi Driver, untouchable. Now, King of Comedy, again, the ending is a little bit like, what was the word I just used? It's it's up to interpretation. That's what it is. Like, the King of Comedy ending is up to interpretation, but again, it's like the point was made is they don't need to make a sequel. And I did feel like the first Joker movie did that pretty well. I felt like Joker did a good job of addressing what it needed to address, and I felt like it got out what needed to get out, and they said what needed to be said within one good 2-hour movie. I didn't really feel like we had to do this like whole other depth of exploration that we needed a sequel. And, like, I know that the ending was a little bit ambiguous when we saw him like run out of the room, like he might have killed those people, maybe. Like, I know that builds a lot of intrigue, but I kind of like the idea of like, well, that might have been in his head. I like the whole ambiguity of it. I like the whole, let's just leave it up to interpretation. I didn't really feel like I needed to see the end of that, to be completely honest. Although I can understand though why someone might watch that and be like, okay, like I want more of that, because I want to know what happened, And hell, I feel like you could also make the argument, and I'm not the first person to say this, believe it or not. Another point in Joker where I feel like they maybe could have cut the film off just a teeny bit earlier was the part where it's like after the car wreck where he's been stood on top of the car, and it fades to black, and Arthur is laughing in the mental hospital, and she's like, would you like to share your joke? And he's like, I'm sorry, it's just, you wouldn't get it. I do feel like that could have actually been a good point to stop the film, because it's like, ooh, it lets you know where Arthur stands, kind of like, it gives you like that sense of, closure to that character. But now that we have that other like ambiguous, like he's running, it's like, you still got closure, but it's slightly open now, so I don't know. But, all of that out of the way, I mean, this is a stream where I'm talking about this film, so that's what this stream is probably going to be dedicated to most of the time. Now they've gotten out my thoughts, I actually want to go see some other people's thoughts.
Sipping on some whiskey, but I need something stronger. Look at all the fucks I don't give to anyone.